Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. This is Shawnee.
And this is Rhodey.
And welcome to Not Your Average Church Girls Podcast. With the Z.
With the Z.
How are you today, sis?
I am feeling better. How about you?
You know I am feeling better.
Well, you sound better. I'll say that. You sound better. We are both a little bit under the weather, but she is sounding better despite what she says, and I'm feeling better, so that's a plus. We'll take that plus.
Yes, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Well, tell the good people what is our topic for today.
Today we are talking about giving back. And giving back could be giving back in your church, giving back in your community, giving back with your neighbors. People always think giving back has to do with money or like extraordinary time.
No.
It doesn't have to. You can do small things. If you know you have a neighbor who's elderly, or you know you have a neighbor that works crazy hours, giving back could be as simple as helping them get their trash can to the curb so they don't miss trash day.
And when she says giving back, someone else may use the terminology, just in case if you guys don't really get it. Pay it forward. You ever heard the terminology to pay it forward? So sometimes pay it forward is, like she said, is not always monetary. It's just sometimes your time. Sometimes just look at, and you know what? Giving back this is the weird thing. That you said that, I never thought about it just now. I feel like this is a part of giving back because it's a part of looking out for your community. I don't know if I read an article or I heard a video. Anyway, this young lady had just moved from one state to another state. She didn't have a lot of money. And her mechanic, she went to this new mechanic and she was telling the guy that she had just moved there. She was looking for a place to stay. And he said, well, I have a place that's over my garage. It's not, it's not huge. It's not the Ritz-Carlton, but it's good enough that you can stay there until you get on your feet. And then he told her, when she went back to pick up her car, that his mother would be moving into the apartment across from her. And she said she was thinking, like, I know this man is well off. Why does he have his mother moving into this apartment across from me? She was bewildered. Right. So, as time went on, she was there maybe a couple of years, I say. When she was about to leave, so while she was there, the mother was so nice to her. Like I said, she didn't have a lot of money. She didn't know anyone in the state, so the mother would cook food, bring her dinner, bring her breakfast, bring her lunch. She would just help her out, like just as a mother or a grandmother would look out for her. If she was going out with someone, she would stay up all night looking out the window, making sure she got in safely. One time, this guy was trying to follow her.
And that is such an underestimated thing.
Right. And so he was trying to follow her. And she said, next thing you know, she called her grandma something, had a gun sticking out the window, and said, if you don't get away from her and leave her alone. And so the moral of the story was when she was about to leave, she was able to get a better apartment. She found out that he didn't put his mother in that apartment. His mother requested to be put in that apartment only because she found out that a young lady would be staying at the other apartment, and she wanted to be there to be able to look out for her. And to be able to protect her, essentially. And she said she didn't realize. She said after she thought about it all the time, she was like, I know it was nobody but God because I didn't have money. A lot of times, if it wasn't for Grandma Susie, let's say it's Grandma Susie, I wouldn't have been able to eat because she used to feed me. So she said she watched out over me. She was like, she used to pray for me. She said, so she was a major blessing in my life. I'm looking at it in a negative sense. Like, why is he putting his mom in this apartment? Da, da, da. and not realizing God is all working it all out for my good. And sometimes it's like that. That's not the first story I heard. I heard another young lady say that she had an elderly woman. She thought the woman was just being nosy. Every time she would come home, this lady would be sitting at the window, but not realizing the woman was sitting at the window praying for her, praying that she will return back home safely.
You know what? And getting back into your house safely, people don't realize what a blessing that is.
It really is. It really is a huge blessing.
People driving like they have lost their mind.
Yes.
We've all seen people, on the phone, not paying attention, not doing this, and they're just driving like they're the only person on the road. Right. So really, certain things that we take for granted, like when you leave your house and you're able to return back to your house unscathed, unhurt, unharmed, that truly is a blessing. You don't know what the person's thinking when you walk into the supermarket.
Nope, you do not.
What the person's thinking when you walk into a restaurant.
At
you don't know what they're thinking when you walk into the DMV to renew your driver's license.
Well, even more than that, you don't even know who you're sitting next to at work. You don't know what that person is going through, that person that you were sitting next to at work. And so, giving back. Sorry.
No, that's okay. And even giving back in that situation, even telling somebody, good morning. No, you may not want to have lunch with them, but if you just say good morning in a polite manner, you don't know what that might do to a person.
Absolutely. And if you're an introvert like I am, sometimes you may not say good morning, but you may smile at someone. And that may be the only smile that person may receive that entire day. And it may be your smile that could change the entire trajectory of that person's day.
Mm-hmm.
So giving back, a lot of times people think giving back has to do with monetary. It doesn't always have to do with money. Money is not everything. Yes, we need money to live on this earth, but money is not everything. There's ways I used to give back. I used to volunteer with hospice. Sometimes giving back may be just with the neighborhood. Maybe you live in a neighborhood that has a lot of kids. And maybe you just like the fact that maybe you don't have kids, or maybe your kids are grown now, and the kids that's in the neighborhood, they're respectful. Giving back may be like, okay, you guys, I need
sure if a car is coming to get them, because I have, and I'm told by my sister and other people that, oh, Rhodey, that's not your child. But if I see the child about to be in harm or something like that, I'm going to say, hey, watch out. Hey, Don't do that.
Right.
It's not me trying to be their parent. I am fully aware that I am not their parent. But if I know that they're about to, hurt themselves or get in trouble, I'll say, hey, don't do that. Watch it. And I try not to be overbearing because, like I said, I know I'm not their parent. But I was a kid. I did stupid stuff. So if I can avoid you breaking your arm, of course I'm going to tell you not to do something. And
that's a form of giving back. Giving back, and what I was going to say is, giving back could also be like, you see that maybe you see everybody else out there have icy pops, and you always see that this one kid never is able to go to the store with his friends. He's never able to go get an icy pop or go get what we used to call a quarter water or anything like that. So you may say, well, you know what?
Quarter water? What's a quarter water?
Like the 25, what they call the hug jugs. I think, are they called hug jugs? They're like
hugs.
that.
Okay, we just call them hugs.
Okay, we used to call them quarter waters. They used to be 25 cents.
They used to call, you know what though? And, just going a little bit off subject, I'm going to come right back. They used to cost a quarter, and they used to taste better. I tasted one recently at a barbecue or something. I said, let me see if they still taste the same. It was horrible.
I am not surprised. I have not had one maybe 30, because I never allowed my daughter to drink them. So I want to say I haven't had one maybe 35. I'm 40. I haven't had one maybe like 38 years, I would say.
Well, maybe it's the fact that I'm an adult too, but they just don't taste the same.
And that could be too. So what I was going to say is, maybe you might say to that young man, I noticed that you're never able to go to the store, and when your friends eat, maybe they're getting something from Mr. Softy that you could never partake. I have some things that I need done around my house, like some garbage. Like, even though you could maybe take your garbage out yourself, but because you see that this young man, and you don't see him out there acting reckless, he's respectful, or this young woman, they're not reckless, they're very respectful. Listen, I have some little ends and odds around the house that you can do for me that can earn you some money. That way you could be able to partake of going to the store, getting Mr. Store. If you're doing, whether it's taking my trash out, whether it's mowing the lawn, or whatever the case may be, that's up to me is a form of giving back. And you never know how life-changing that can be for someone. Because it sucks when all your friends are able to go to the corner store or go to Mr. Softy, and you all you could do is sit on a stoop. Because you can't go.
Something very small that could help so much. You just don't
Absolutely,
know.
Absolutely. I'll tell this testimony. And I think I shared this before, but this is something that's been extremely impactful in my life because I mention it quite often. One time I was in a very low point in my life financially. I had just moved to Delaware, and I didn't have any income. And I had pretty much went through all of my I had a good amount of savings, but when you have an apartment, I had never had my own apartment.
Not to cut you off, but you could have $100,000 in savings. If you don't have any money coming in, you don't realize how fast you go through that savings. I'm sure Shariqua can testify to that. You're like,
seriously,
what is happening? I had $100,000 saved up. I shouldn't be going through this money this fast.
Absolutely.
If you don't have any income coming in, that money goes fast.
Absolutely. So one time, someone in my church, this is when you would have to go for the newspapers, or you would go like from job to job, literally looking for a job. I think at this point maybe Monster was just coming out really. What was the other one? Monster, and it was not Indeed.
Builder.
Yes, that one. And so that's when they were just really coming out and stuff like that. And so I didn't even have money to get on the bus to go looking for a job. I didn't have money to buy a newspaper or anything. And I remember someone in church gave me $5. When I tell you, you would have thought this lady gave me $5 million because of the impact that it made. Because I immediately thought, I could buy me 2 all-day passes. I could go out and look for a job 2 days. And I have enough left over to give me a pack of Big Red gum. That's when I used to choose Big Red. It was like 35 cents a pack. And that lady blessing me with that. For someone else, you might be like, $5. $5 is nothing. When you don't have anything to your name, $5 is a lot.
I have been there. When you don't have a quarter.
Yes, or 2 pennies to rub together.
And somebody gives you $5. It does feel like $5 million.
It really does. It felt like life-changing to me. I know someone would be like, she's exaggerating. Really, I'm not exaggerating because that's how I felt.
I did not know Shaniqua at the time, but I have been through things financially like that. And somebody, handed me $20. It felt like I hit the lottery.
I'm telling you, like, when you're down, when you don't have 2 pennies, when you don't even have 2 pennies to rub together, you have hit rock bottom and your back is against the wall. And when somebody bless you with anything, you're grateful. You're grateful. But, for me, giving back is not always, like we said, it's not always money. I used to give back sometimes.
And it's not always a big thank you, too. Because some people will give back with the expectation of thank you. And I'll just use this quick Bible story. When the woman said, I'm going to take my last little bit of cornmeal and oil, make my a couple of pieces of bread for me and my son, and we're just going to go in here and die because they didn't have anything.
Yep.
When the prophet came and told her, go to your neighbors and borrow these pots and stuff, you never hear the names of the neighbors in the Bible.
Nope.
But those neighbors probably said, here's a pot, and didn't think anything else of it, not knowing that them giving her that pot would be part of a Bible story that would go on for centuries.
Absolutely. Well, how about this one? How about the woman with the issue of blood? We talk about that all the time, and all we know is the woman. The Bible did not even give her a name, just the woman. So,
the woman with the issue of blood, that's all she's got. And there's so many stories in the Bible like that where people just help. All we know about the Good Samaritan is that he was the Good Samaritan.
Good Samaritan. That's all we know. That's all we know. And sometimes I think that's all we need to know. Because I think sometimes when you know who it is or who did what, sometimes people start looking at them differently. Whether looking at that person differently in a good way, in a good light, or you start looking at that person, because you would not think that people would look at people negative, but people do. People are not always happy for when people are able to bless others.
No, they're not. That's why a lot of times, like, you know, some of y'all might remember if your grandmama or aunt or uncle would just slide you $5, $10, they would shake your hand and hand you the money.
They call it what they call it, the Pentecostal handshake.
Yeah, and they would just walk away because they didn't want the whole family knowing that they gave you money. Because let's say, yes, they're giving you $20, but they didn't give your cousin $20. And they're like, well, why didn't they give the cousin? Maybe the cousin's parents or guardians have a lot of money and they're doing all right, but this other cousin is really struggling, but they don't want to talk about it.
Or maybe just the simple fact, because I wanted to. It's my money, and I wanted to bless this person with $20. Can we just normalize that people do things just because they want to, without having to explain themselves?
People are so extra when it's not even their money.
That's what I'm saying. That people get upset. I see people on social media. The funniest thing to me when I see people on social media fighting and arguing with each other over celebrities. That people that they don't know, that most time they will never get to meet or never have like a real conversation or a real relationship with them. Somebody that they can't, when they in need, they can't turn to this person and say, I need $100 for my light bill, or I'm running low on groceries. But you sitting in the comment section arguing with people over this celebrity. Like, I'm like, what?
Exactly. I made a comment on a video last week. And I read a couple of the comments, but I don't think I've ever gotten so much feedback. And I haven't even read it. Because it was just something small. It was basically about how children these days, if you're asking the child to help take out the trash, or you're helping the child to help, you know, set the table for dinner, how come the child doesn't have a right to question you? I said, because they're children. You don't get to come up in my house and tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing.
Oh, I can imagine what. And
a couple of people, they came back at me, but honestly, I haven't looked. I've probably gotten about 50 or 60 comments.
And I could just imagine just by when I go on Threads. I don't know if you ever go on Threads, the app Threads. Rarely. Well, this app is one of those apps where it's more like that, like where people are writing their life story, just everything on there, and people go back and forth on that thing so much that if you will post something like that on Threads, when I tell you, it will blow up, and you will have so many people responding to you in a negative light. Oh my goodness!
Like, first of all, half you people, I didn't respond to anyone, but I'm thinking to myself, half the people responding probably don't even have children.
And that may be true. That certainly may be true.
It was just my opinion that no 10-year-old should have an opinion on major decisions in your house. And that's just how I feel. And
that's your opinion, and you have the right to have your opinion. And if someone else's opinion differs from you, well, that's their opinion too. I mean, my daughter didn't ever say so. because I guess I it's the way I grew up, and in some ways she was raised the way I was raised. There's some differences, but I know I know everybody now talks about what they consider gentle parenting,
which does not work, in my opinion.
Listen, my daughter found out that gentle parenting don't even work with our dogs. Let me tell you, she kept complaining like, "Mommy, I'm trying to do this gentle parenting, and they don't take heed until I start fussing at them." Yeah. So gentle parenting is not for everyone. But getting back to giving back,
gentle parenting should be for anyone, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, because that could be a topic for another day,
another time. But back to our subject of giving back.
What I was going to say.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is about giving back, about paying it forward. It could be something as simple as, and I know we all probably have been in this situation, whether you at McDonald's or at any kind of fast food line, and you hear the person behind you you could tell by how they're ordering that they may not have a lot of money, and when you get up there, you may pay for their order, or you may even give a little extra to say, put some more in their bags or whatever. Or you may find yourself in a grocery store, and you standing behind someone, and you see the person up there scrambling, counting pennies, trying to and they don't have frivolous things on there. Like it's not like they have stuff up there, candy,
like milk,
right?
Milk, eggs, cheese,
right. They have like the necessities, the stuff that you really need, and you see that they're struggling, and you know that you have extra. Maybe you was going to go to McDonald's. You don't really need the McDonald's, and you can say, "Ma'am or sir, don't worry about it. How much it is. Keep that. I got you."
Every once in a while, the Lord has put on my heart to just pay for somebody's stuff. It's not because they looked like they were struggling. It was just like, pay for that. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't try to follow me into a store, because it doesn't happen all the time. It happens every now and again. But sometimes the Lord will place on my heart, hey, just pay for that person's coffee, or pay for maybe they're behind you at the toll booth, and you can say, hey, they don't do that much anymore, because most people think it's easy cash.
Right.
But you can say, hey, just pay for them behind me.
Right. So that's what we're saying. Paying for it. I mean, it could be anything. It could be something that you may not even think is paying it forward. For example, and this is really big to me because I'm not that great at yielding into traffic. You stop it and letting somebody in. Say, go ahead. Just go ahead and get in front of me. I feel like that is giving back, because 20 cars went before this person and would not let this person in.
Would not let them in.
But you showing them grace. Go ahead. Come. You could go ahead before me. And for someone like me, that I'm a very careful driver. I've been in various accidents, so I'm also kind of like a scared driver as well, if I could be honest. And I hate having to yield into places, especially like those sections where there's not really a shoulder. It just has to yield, and there's no shoulder, and next thing you know, you have to get into. The anxiety I get. So if I have someone that's nice enough to they see me having to get in, and they're like, go ahead. My God, when I tell you, I'm like waving, like thank you. I'm so grateful for that. So that's what I mean, paying forward.
Like a 60-40 type thing.
What did you say?
Like I said, I'm like a 60-40 with people that, now I know some people, like you said, have trouble merging into traffic. Then you have the people who literally, on purpose, wait till the last minute and think they're going to shove you over. I will not let you over if you do that.
Oh, you're like my daughter. You're like my daughter. I'm not like that. I'm like, go ahead, listen, like I don't need any problems.
If I know you really, you're trying to get over and people won't let you over, then yes, I'll more likely than not let you over. But if you just wait and wait and wait. Or if you ride the shoulder until you can't ride
right.
anymore and try to get in front of me, I'm not letting you over.
Right. Now I have to be honest. In those kind of situations, with somebody that knows when they're telling you to merge over, merge left, merge right, however you need to merge, and you just want to keep riding the shoulder because you want to try to get in front of all these people, nah, partner, you sit there and wait.
Because you saw the orange arrow just like I saw the orange arrow.
Exactly. But paying
forward... That's not what God wants. That's not the purpose of this particular episode.
No, it's not. But paying it forward could be like, I remember at church, some years ago, Rhodey was a part of it, where we used to go and pick up some Sunday school kids who didn't even live in the vicinity of our church, didn't live like in our current neighborhood, and we would go pick them up to bring them to Sunday school.
I'll say politely, some of these children were a challenge, and I'll just leave it there.
Yes, but we would pick them up every Sunday. We would make sure they were dressed. We would make for service. We would make sure that we fed them, and
sometimes you have to go above and beyond and be a surrogate parent.
Right, but my point is, my pastor always said this. Our former pastor, he used to always say this: if you see there is a need, and you're able to fill that need, you should do it. And he used to always say, many hands make work light. Meaning, if everyone pitch in and do their part, the job can get done faster.
Yes, and absolutely. Even he would say, thank God for the Sunday only saints. So, if a lot of times at our church, this is our busy season with a lot of special services. We might have guests from other churches, things like that. And some people are never going to stay after the help.
No.
You only see them on a Sunday morning. You don't see them at Bible study. You don't see them at convocations. That's the only time you see them. But
yes.
Pastor White used to say, thank God for the Sunday only saints too, because they count.
Yep, he sure did. He sure did. Paying it forward, giving it back could be, for example, you in the ladies' bathroom and you see a sister coming out the store and she has tissue stuck somewhere, whether it's the bottom of her shoe or somewhere else, and you don't allow her to go outside and make a fool of herself. You let her know, hey, you got some tissue stuck to your shoe, or you got some tissue hanging from somewhere. You let her know. To me, that's giving it back. So I'm just trying to give you guys like reasonable expectations of what giving back can mean, because people always should think giving back has to be something monetary or something tangible, like a car or something.
For example, if you're looking for examples in the Bible, there are tons of examples. If you say, hey, this person's helped this person, and no one's name is mentioned, then that was giving back.
Yes.
Whoever helped them will get their reward eventually.
Yes.
And I will tell you this, and Shaniqua can also tell you too. You're not always going to get a thank you.
No.
You may not even get acknowledged. Let's say you're always the one holding the door for somebody. You're always the one, if you know, like, let's say you're at the office and y'all get coffee or donuts or something, and you know this person, they have a bad commute, so they might miss out on the coffee and donuts, and you save a donut for them. Just that small gesture is a thing of giving back. They might never bring it up to anybody, but the Lord saw that you put that donut to the side for them.
Yep. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. Or like she said, whether it's a donut or you guys had lunch and this person had to go to a doctor's appointment, and you like I'm quite sure Rhodey is like this. I know I'm like this. I don't want once everybody hands been all over stuff. So if I know someone is like that, I would try to have him get in there first to get this person some food, wrap it, put paper towels, whatever over it.
Wrap it and put it to the side.
Yes, and put it to the side for that person. That's a form of giving back. Giving back could be you literally just sitting there listening to someone. Maybe you know that this person is going through something. Maybe they're going through some challenges. Maybe they're trying to adopt a baby. Or maybe they're trying to have a baby. And maybe they're blessed enough to be able to go through IVF. But going through IVF is not the easiest thing to be able to endure.
Also not cheap.
And it's not cheap. Maybe you know someone, a child maybe in foster care, and they're trying to get their child out of foster care. And you're just sitting there. And you're just listening. Sometimes it's not about giving anyone any advice, talking to someone. Sometimes it's you just sitting there and just listening in silence.
And sometimes even if you have been through exactly what they have been through, if they're telling you about car trouble and not being able to fix the car because of lack of money, yes, you may have been through that too. But they may not want to hear that you've been through it too.
Right.
They just want to vent. They just want to get it off their chest.
Absolutely. Because we have to be careful of trying to make everything about us. Because sometimes we
and trying to fix it.
Absolutely. So giving back could be us, however you feel like giving back. Whatever giving back means to you. Because we may all have our own definition of what giving back means. For some people, giving back means to always volunteer. Like they have to always stay busy. They need to always be feeding the homeless. But maybe it's election time, volunteering at the polls or doing things like that. Maybe that's
volunteering at the animal shelter.
Yes.
Something.
Yes.
But it's okay if you're a giver. And Shanique was a giver. I consider myself a giver. It's okay also to give back to yourself.
Yes.
It's the gift of rest.
Yes.
The gift of
yes.
can't answer the phone today. It's like I am like the old episode of the Golden Girls. They were like, Rose, why aren't you helping? We need you to help. She said, I have volunteer burnout.
Yeah, I actually just saw that episode not too long ago.
I love the Golden Girls.
I do too.
You know, you can have volunteer burnout.
Yes, you.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
It's beautiful, and the Lord wants you to give back to others, but He also doesn't want you to be passed out on the floor.
Absolutely. That's really a good one.
No.
Giving back to yourself. Giving back to yourself. Wow. Yes. Because most people have difficult times doing that, giving back to themselves, taking time out for yourself.
Because you think giving back is only giving to others.
Right.
But if you give to others all the time.
Or how about this? I'm sorry, go ahead, finish what you were going to say.
If you give back to others all the time, you will eventually crash. It's just the way your body is made. You will crash.
I was gonna say I feel like this is like the greatest thing you could ever do in terms of giving back to God. And when I say giving back to God, I'm not just talking about tithe and offerings. Giving God back your worship, giving God back your praise, giving God back your prayer life, or sitting there and spending time in God's presence. God wants us to do that. And that's giving back. We're going to God and saying, God, I just thank you. I thank you. Remember the 10 lepers in the Bible?
Absolutely.
When he healed them and he told them to go show themselves to the high priest, and only one returned back to say thank you.
That's right.
He went back to say, God, to say, Jesus, I recognize what you did. I want to come back to say thank you to the man who changed my life. Thank you to the man who made a difference in my life. Thank you to the man who has changed me. Now I'm no longer an outcast.
Because back in the day, some of you may know, some of you may not. If you were a leper, you could no longer stay with your family.
Right.
You couldn't be with your friends. If you had a job, you had to leave the job. So if you were the only one providing for your family, then they were up a creek.
Really? Because you were an outcast. You were an outcast.
You had to go, to a designated part of town.
Yes.
Which was usually 2 or 3 miles outside of town. And I don't know how they thought this would help. and sit with a bunch of other lepers.
Other lepers.
Like,
Yep.
How are you going to get better if you're around the people that are sick like you?
Listen,
I don't understand that.
Every time I read that, I still don't understand it. I still have no answer for that. But so giving back is, we should always give God our time. That's something we should always give God back. It's our time to spend with Him, time to be able to hear from Him. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't hear from God." Well, do you spend time with God? We have to realize God bless us. Sometimes you may not thank God. You might be like, I don't know what she's talking about. God don't bless me. I'm in need. My rent is due. I'm about to lose my house. I'm about to lose my vehicle. But guess what? Even in all that, and I'm not discounting any of that, because I know it's difficult to go through. But guess what? If you have eyes to see, He's blessed you. If you have ears you can hear out of, He's blessed you. If you have your own limbs and you can use your own limbs and don't need to wait on anyone or don't need any devices to help you get around, He has blessed you. So we all have to do our part in giving back to God. And I think another part of giving back to God is when we do stuff for other people. Like everything we just been saying to you. When we see our neighbors in need, when we see our sisters and brothers in Christ, or just people in general, let me put this stipulation to it. You also have to use wisdom. Because sometimes you can see someone in need, but sometimes you cannot always answer that need just for your own safety. And when I say that,
exactly.
Imagine you see somebody stranded.
Can I give an example?
Oh, okay. I was giving an example, but go ahead.
Pastor White, and this is a short example. Pastor White used to always tell us, if you're a woman and you see somebody on the side of the road, especially if it's a man, he said you can call 911 for them.
Right.
Don't ever stop to pick them up.
Well, we're living in a day and a time that even if you see another woman, that the best thing is to really just call 911, because sometimes, and I don't mean to be like, oh my gosh, she just always thinking negative. No, it's just the state of the world. It could be a setup.
It could be.
It could be even if you see a woman with a stroller, it could be a setup. So my point is, yes, you may want to give back, but the way you can give back is if you have a phone, call 911 and say, I just saw this woman with a baby or whoever stranded. We're at such and such. Could you please send help? That's your way of giving back without putting yourself in danger. So I just wanted to include that clause to it. Make sure whatever you're doing to give back, you're doing it safely.
Yes. You always want to be safe. Don't let the kindness of your heart override wisdom. The Bible says
yes.
Wisdom.
Yes.
Because even if you feel bad, you're like, they might be in need. They might be in need. But number one, remember, you can't help everybody.
You cannot help everyone. And check this out. Everyone does not want your help. Regardless of what situation they're in, everyone does not want your help. Like, everyone does not want my help. Everyone does not want Rhodey's help.
They don't. And it took me a long time to realize, I'm like, if they have a need and I can help them, Louis, stop now. I'm sorry, y'all. If they have a need and I can help them, let me do what I can to help them. And you're wondering why people are rolling their eyes and sucking their teeth at you. And they're like, I just don't want your help.
Absolutely. And that may be for many reasons. But whatever the reason is, they don't want your help. And if someone is declining your help or declining, listen, dust them off and go on about your life and continue living your life and go and bless someone who wants to receive your blessings.
And that's all you can do.
That's all you can do. So, Rhodey really wanted to talk about this week about giving back. And I thought that was a really good topic to discuss. Because we always, especially now we're in the season, we're falling into the season of giving gifts.
It is a giving season.
Yes. And
people have set up soup kitchens. People have set up maybe food pantries to help somebody. Somebody might be giving away gently used coats or shoes to help somebody who doesn't have those things.
Matter of fact, you said it. Giving back is when you go and donate to Goodwill or donate to the Purple Heart or to the Green Dot or these organizations. You're giving back because that prayerfully, whatever you're donating is going to go to someone who needs it.
Exactly.
So that really is, that's a good one, Rhoda. That really is a great way of giving back. Is when you, anytime, whether it's whatever you have, whether it's clothing, a coat, whatever, whether you take food, you have extra food and you take it to the food bank. That's a form of giving back. Maybe like, you know that there's a neighbor, she has multiple kids and you know that she's a single woman or he's a single father. Or maybe they're not single at all, but you know that they're struggling and you know that your house is overflowing with food, that you have so many
vegetables.
Yes. And you make up a bag. You don't have to put a note, this is from Shaniqua. You don't have to do that. You can just go put stuff right at their door and walk away. And don't ever have to announce that it was you. Because the Bible also says, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
That is true.
So we don't always have to disclose everything that we do. I prefer to, if I'm going to give to someone, I prefer to give in secret anyway. Because I just don't want...
I really do.
I don't want people to know. I don't want to be known. I don't want to be seen. I don't want any unwarranted attention.
Because people, if they know that you have a big heart and they know that you have a tendency to give...
Yes, they'll try to take advantage.
Hey, so-and-so, you'll get a hello from people that... It's not that you don't like them, and sometimes you may not like them, but you're like, okay, hi, why do you keep talking to me?
You know what? And this is kind of off the subject, but when you said that, it reminded me of, it's this TV show. I don't know if you ever heard of them. These people have 14 kids, biological kids, and they have a lot of, they have twins, they have triplets, quadruplets. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a black family. Yes, the Doricos. So,
however you pronounce it.
They're a black family, and they have a lot of kids. And he does whatever he has to do to support his family. It seems like he's supporting them really well. So the point is, he never talked about he had any nieces or nephew up until recently with someone a couple of years ago. His nephew reached out and said, I think your deceased brother was my father. They took blood tests, kind of find out. Sure, he was. And they were so excited that this young man was their nephew and their grandson. They were so excited. Fast forward to this year, the young man passed away. He was really sick. He was only like 22, 23. He was young. Passed away. Anyway, they don't know for a fact if these other boys are their biological nephews or grandsons, but they used to take them on as their nephews and grandsons. But then suddenly, the mom was like, stop talking to my kids. I don't want you nowhere near my kids. So for 20-something years, they had no relationship. But now, this family, and I'm going by what I heard this man say on his live. This is what he said. They see what, they did GoFundMe pages for the nephew that passed away. Because he was passing away, I guess, to make sure his funeral arrangements were covered. Because, everybody's not that everyone does not want insurance. Some people are just not eligible to get life insurance just because of different sicknesses.
Even if you are, life insurance can be a big bill.
It could be, yes. It really, people think, somebody said, people are acting like a GoFundMe page is a substitute for actually getting life insurance. No, it's not. But some people are not eligible for life insurance. Secondly, some people cannot afford the cost of life insurance.
Yes, and I know we might be going off on a little tangent, but...
No, I'm not.
Let me finish. Just because someone doesn't have something that you think everyone has does not mean they're squandering their money away.
That too, but what I was saying is, it was going back to something you said. The reason I brought them up is because you started talking about people who will use you and will take your kindness for weakness. So because they saw this family, they're on TV because they have a TV show, a reality show. They had this nephew. He was on their TV show, and then they set up a GoFundMe page for him. And because they see all this, now they thinking money. So now they're upset.
Stop. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. My Bluey was crying on something.
Oh, that's fine. So now they're upset because they feel like, oh, you did everything for this nephew, but you've never done anything for us.
But the thing is, you didn't even know you existed.
Well, they knew they existed, but their mom told them to stop having any contact with them. So they haven't, and the nephews know about them because they used to go and stay with them. But the mom told them to stop having any contact, so they had not seen each other, I guess, in like 20-something years. Because that's the way they wanted it. But now they see that they're on TV. I'm just getting back to something you said about how people...
I see where you're going.
So that's...
You're like, hey,
people see
that
you... Right, and people people think that you, just because you're on TV... They assume that you're making all this kind of money, and that's not always the case either. Just because somebody's on TV, there's a lot of struggling actors and actresses out here.
Very many.
So my point is, you have to be careful about when you broadcast what you do, because you could be opening up doors that you don't want to open.
And maybe the best thing for someone to do is I know myself. I don't know about Shaniqua and her dynasty that she's building. I'm teasing her a little bit. But I don't know.
Honey, I love it. Speak
the
it.
dynasty that she's building, but I very rarely tell people my ideas. Very rarely. Because they might come back 10 years later and say, well, I collaborated with them on that.
That is absolutely true. That is true, too. Or, if not even that, some people just are haters. Or some people just can't catch the vision or see the vision. And I remember one time, I heard somebody say, and Rhodey may remember, the person said, oh, you guys have to catch the vision. And my thing is, I was like, no, we don't, because you're the leader. You're the one that have to have the vision. Everyone does not need the vision that I need or need to see. Rhodey does not need to see the vision that God has given me for my empire. Because it's not her.
On social media a couple of times that people have said, when God gave you the call, it wasn't a conference call. It wasn't for everybody.
Absolutely. It was not for the community.
Exactly.
And the community was not there when you were sitting there crying, didn't know how this was going to work out, didn't know how you was going to get this podcast going, didn't know how to get a podcast going. The community was not there when you was trying to figure out how you going to get this business going, get this business off the ground, how you was going to get your screen right, or what is called, what you call it, Brody? You know, those screen, like things that you want to, like your screenplays, trying to figure out how you want to get your
plays or whatever it is, a play. Maybe you're writing a book. Maybe you're
right. Everybody's not there with you to help you with that. Or to help you to pray you through it when you're feeling discouraged. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of discouraging times.
A lot of discouraging times. And there are times when you will ask people to pray about it. And
yes.
I can attest. I try. If somebody asks me to pray for something, I try to pray for it right then and there.
Absolutely.
But then some people will look you right in your face and say, of course I'll pray for you. And as soon as they walk away from you, so does the prayer request.
Yeah, and honestly, I just said this to somebody from my church. I said, you got to realize, sometimes you got to, and I said this to my supporters too. I said, first of all, you need to be careful by asking everyone to pray for you. Because everyone is not praying for you. Some people are praying against you.
And some people aren't praying at all.
And some people, when they say, I'm praying for you, that's their prayer.
That's the prayer.
And when I told the person that, they said, what? I said, you got to realize some people saying, I'm praying for you. That's what they consider their prayer. I'm praying for you.
Prayer. They say it right in front of you, right then and there. So if you ever question them on it, they can say, oh, I said I was praying for you. But that's it.
That's it. I said it. I'm praying for you, and I believe God heard that I said I was praying for you.
Not a lot of, well, I'm not saying not a lot, but there are some people who, when they pray at night, they say, Lord, thank you for another day, and go to sleep.
Really, like, honestly, or there's, really, so someone in my church years ago, she used to always say to me, Shaniqua, the way you pray for everybody and praying for countries and this and that, everybody's not praying like that. And I was like, and she wasn't meaning in the terms of the fact that I call out people names or I call out different. She was referring that everyone is not taking the time to pray for someone else in general. And I just could not believe that. Like, I'm like, if someone is a saint, how can you not take the time to pray for someone else? Even if you don't call this person's name out, God, I pray for this entire world and everyone who's in it that has a heartbeat. I pray for them. I could not believe that people were not praying for other people.
There are some people who never opened their Bible. That was a shock.
I learned that. Oh man, that was a hard one for me to learn. And when I learned that, I realized, okay, I see why there's so many stuck people. Or I had someone tell me this. They said, Shaniqua, the way that you sit there and read the Bible, just sit there and you just read it, I don't do that. And I must have had like this dumb look on my face because I was really shocked. And I was like, really? Because the person is saved, so I was surprised by their response. And she was like, no. She said, when I'm going through something, I'll go to the Bible and look for whatever topic it is that I'm going through that I need encouragement from. And I'll read those scriptures like that. But I don't just sit there and read the Bible from cover to cover like you do. And I thought, wow. I guess I was very naive. Because I was
too, because I thought if I see you in church just about every Sunday, then I think you're going home and reading the Bible.
Well, I guess I just thought if you were saved, that you would go home to read the Bible.
There are different levels. There are different levels to being saved.
No, there are. And I guess there's different levels of going to church, too. Some people just go to church out of rituals because that's what they're used to doing.
Well, we're going to pray for them anyway. But we are about to bring this episode to an end. I enjoyed doing it. I know Shaniqua enjoyed doing it. And we hope that we were able to encourage you to give back in some way. It doesn't always have to be monetary, even though we are sure that people are more than happy to accept money that you give to certain churches, charities, hospitals, soup kitchens, whatever.
And the best way you can give back to Not Your Average Church Girls podcast is by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that download button, and by sharing. And that's the best way you can give back to us, is telling someone else about us. That's that way we can grow in viewership. Please tell someone else about us. Yes, that's the best way you can get back to us, by downloading every episode. Make sure you subscribe so that every time we drop an episode, you'll automatically get that notification that a new episode has dropped. And please share. If you're on social media, please share the podcast on social media. If it's impacting you, if you like it, if it's making you laugh, if it's making you think, please share it on your own social media. Please share it with your family, with your friends, with your homegirl, your homeboy. Just share it.
It can be found at several places. It can be found on Spotify. It can be found on iHeartRadio. It can be found just about anywhere where you listen to your podcast.
Absolutely. We have it on a lot of places. Really, Apple Podcasts, really. Samsung, and Amazon Music. And YouTube at Not Your Average Church Girls Podcast with a Z. No, I didn't say that right? Not Your Average Church Girls with a Z. That's what I meant to say.
Yes, we would really, really appreciate if you would share this with someone. And I know we say it all the time because we always mean it. We love hearing from you.
Yes.
Please give us some feedback. Please give us some comments. Because if you're giving us feedback and comments, we know that you're listening.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, be safe, stay blessed, and keep God first.
Bye.
Bye.